Hey Cole, come here. We're gonna do a quick intro. Hey, welcome back to the Cole Event Experience. Cole and I are here. We are having a special experience here. We're out at a car collector that we just had the honor of meeting and knowing, and there's some special stuff here. What do you think we're gonna see here today, Cole?
Maybe some New Holland tractors.
What are you gonna see over there?
Maybe a Woody and some other cars.
Is there a toy store around here? I mean, a toy room?
Maybe.
There might be. All right, so stay tuned. We're going to introduce you to Johnny and his collection. All right.
Bye.
We're going to go through the bridge. Gotta love that. Turn on the radio. All right, here we are with Johnny and Johnny K Toys. If you don't know him, you're about to learn about him. He is amazing in the world of automobile racing, automobile restoration, and even automobile memorabilia and toys, which you're not going to believe. But I'm going to swap it around, and the first thing you're going to see is this Ford. And I'm going to let Johnny just explain what it is. You could just talk. We'll take the video. So what are we looking at here, Johnny?
Okay.
Obviously, it's black on black with green. Tell us all about that.
Yeah, it's a 31 Ford, and I restored it. And there's an article, one of the Ford magazines some years ago, that Henry Ford was bragging about his black Model A Ford with a green pinstripe. And I checked on the car and couldn't find any more about it. But when I tore the car all apart to repaint it, the paint that was underneath the paint was black with a green pinstripe. And if there was any truth to being one of the original cars, there was only like 17 of them made. And I don't know whether I got one or not, but I sort of like to think I do. It's a nice color combination, and it's different. It's a standard model, it's not a deluxe. I have other Model A's that has a rumble seat that are coupes just like this. But it's just a plain Jane, and the wheels are even black. No white walls on it. That's the way it's supposed to be.
What motor do we have in this one?
It's the original motor. It's in the car. But I sure like to find out whether it was one of the 17 that Henry talked about.
If you happen to know about the 17, leave a comment and we'll follow it down. All right.
Favorite engine.
Okay, now we're looking at Johnny K's favorite engine. Tell us about this.
It's a flathead Ford.
You're going to see a lot of that in this collection.
It's from years ago. That was the motor that most race drivers asked for, and that's what was used in most stock cars back in the 50s. And it's a very good engine. There's probably a million of them made, I don't know, but they were everywhere at one time. And I just like them. When I get a chance to get a good one, I'll rebuild it. And usually I sell it, or else I'll build a car around it.
Wait till you see that. He does build cars around motors and engines, and that's going to be something that nobody has ever seen here on YouTube, hopefully. Now I'll tell you, looking at this Ford motor, think about what we posted just a few weeks ago on the 32 Ford truck. So what we did is we had a posting just a couple weeks ago. We put out another collection that I was able to see. It was a 32 Ford truck restored. It was brown and black, of course, like the standard colors. And we talked about the motor and everything was in that. And then I walk into your collection, and folks, it's as if Ford was built here. This is amazing. Now, if you're wondering what's over at the left here and you know what it is, leave a comment. But if you don't, we're about to find out the amazing car that this is.
That's the Pittsburgh Steelers terrible truck.
And
it was used down on the field. They sang the National Anthem out of it for about 14 years. Back when Terry Bradshaw and those guys played when they were winning Super Bowls.
So Terry, if you're going to watch this, leave a comment. We'll reach out to you because you might actually see this one, Terry. So anyway, this is Let's tell us about the build. This is all customized. This isn't something he bought. This is something he made.
No, this truck was made when I worked in a construction field, and wherever I got a chance to buy beat up old sheet metal out of buildings or steel of any sort, I would save it. I'd grab it and bring it home. And the entire truck is made out of buildings of Pittsburgh.
All right, so now we're looking at the side of it, and Johnny's going to take us through this build.
This truck was made out of different buildings in the city of Pittsburgh. The entire truck, the entire sheet metal structure of it was in different buildings. For instance, the windshield frame on it, which is stainless steel. We put a safety fence around the equipment room in the U.S. Steel building years ago when I built this car. And I was able to get some of that was left over from the original fence that we built around it. And I made the windshield out of that steel. And the hood and everything is old ductwork.
Tell us about the sink that's in the front.
Yes, believe it or not, this is a sink.
Unbelievable.
There was a restaurant on Fifth Avenue. It was called Old Dutch Henry's, and it was closed for years. Well, we did some work in that building, and I was able to find a sink top, a stainless steel sink top. And I thought, oh my gosh, this is from Dutch Henry's restaurant. So I grabbed the old sink top, and I cut it into strips of metal, stainless steel, and then I weaved it like a basket weave together, so it makes it very strong. And that's what that is. It's a sink top. And
sink top, unbelievable. So we talked about the frame on this. This is a
that was off an old air conditioning frame. The two bars that run down the grill or down the frame itself was part of that air conditioning frame. I cut them all up and rebent them with a heavy brake, a metal brake. So that's what's underneath of it.
So you're going to hear this theme, folks. He not only restores, builds, but he does his own metal work. You'll never find another person like Johnny.
We try. But the interior on the thing has a Maltese cross. Maltese cross is a sign that the fire departments use quite a bit, and I was a fireman, so I thought that would be nice in the truck. So I got that out of the church grill window over in Homewood, and it was in the trash. And I asked the gentleman if I could have that, and he said sure. So it was big enough that I was able to make that out of all small pieces. That's how I get the Maltese cross. And the grill in the truck, what do you do about that, you know?
Right.
Well, the best thing to do is find a yellow taxi cab. And you take the grill, take the gauges out of it, and you got part of Pittsburgh again. So, the entire truck is part of Pittsburgh. It's copied off of a 31 Mac, an AC Mac, which had the radiator in the back. It looks fairly like that. And you have to see one to see that there's hardly any difference.
So as we geek out, we're looking at what looks to be gas tanks.
Two gas tanks, they're not hooked up though because that's sort of dangerous sitting out there like that. Somebody hit you in the gas tank, you're liable to be cooked.
Cooked for sure, but you mentioned you enjoyed
We
emptying
enjoy
those.
drinking the beer out of them.
That's how you do it, folks.
Yeah.
The motor itself.
The motor was when I built the truck. It had a 327 in it, and I believe it was a Corvette motor, and had big carburetor, different system on it. And I took that all off and put a smaller engine. It's got a 283 in it now, which is more economical to drive and it runs better, really.
So for you older folks that may have seen this already in person, for those that have never seen it, this video is not going to do it justice, but this is a historic piece in the Pittsburgh landscape in the fabric, and we're talking to the brainchild inventor of it. He was saying that there was a 327 Corvette motor in it, but now it's a 283, and it's in perfect shape. Can we see the motor?
Sure.
Now the 8 stack you see here is definitely looking good.
That's strictly a hood ornament.
But and helps you open up this hood. And check it out. I mean, would you expect to see a motor in that condition? Knowing Johnny, I would. Thank you.
Starts by a card. Push your card in.
Oh, let's please show that. So the most unique thing to geek out about maybe is that it starts with a credit card. And I'm going to back up and go to the other side. I'll let you take out the credit card to show him. Okay, watch this starter.
So if you don't have the card is not just a plain old card. That card has a special shape to it. And if it's not made for that lock, it won't start the car.
Speaking of, when's the last time you started this car?
Last week.
Oh, hey, it's up and running even. Maybe another video would be us hearing this sucker turned on. The next time he wants to take it out or go to a show, we're going to find him so we can hear it.
Well, I'm going to put new brakes on it because the brakes are on is from 19 when I built the truck.
You're going to do that all yourself. So we put a Ford truck on in our last posting, but this is a whole different level of Ford truck. And John, if you wouldn't mind, tell us about this one.
This is a Model A Ford. I built the whole truck. What's unique about it, what's different about it, Henry Ford never made a extended cab Ford back in 1931, so I did. It has the seat moved back, so there's some leg room. Anybody that's ever ridden in a Model A pickup truck knows there's no room in them. So this one I built, I extended the cab on the thing and extended the body to match it. And there's plenty of room in it. You can get in it and relax.
So here is the branding that you need to get familiar with. Johnny K Toys. I want to make sure I got a good shot of that one for you, sir. Okay, check out the room you now have in this extended cab, one of one Ford truck.
We travel with it. It's our travel car.
All right, so talk about, I think that's one of the more unique things to talk about in general, is that you will take this car
On vacation.
on vacation.
Right. We do.
Imagine seeing this on the highway, and if you're a Ford enthusiast, you would probably catch the extended cab and not know what you just saw.
It's all stock running Model A.
So how about that? This is all stock, and it's going to be on the highway anytime.
30 horsepower.
30 horsepower, still keeping up with the trucks. Okay, now we're going to get a little more unique and crazy. Ever wonder what a Rolls-Royce race car would start to look like? And we see this. Here we go. Now, we're not going to cover a lot of this one. Well, maybe if he graciously likes us enough, we'll come back and talk about it. But you are looking at a bespoke 1947 Rolls-Royce inline 6. Check out that gold carburetor. I don't know much about it, but I'm told that this is how it came. And it's on this frame that John has crafted and designed himself. And when I asked him, how do you start this? He says, I just start welding. He doesn't put it on paper. This is all measured and cut and welded as he goes. Yeah, unbelievable. So someday this is going to be a race car, because a vintage race car, and I'm only going to bring that point up now because John happens to be famous in the vintage race car world for many reasons, of which is manufacturing his own vintage race cars and racing them himself. Since when?
Well, I haven't really done the racing in them for quite a few years, but back in the 50s I did.
For sure. Okay, we'll move on from here as this project will come out sometime. Then we go through another door in this amazing garage. And I'll tell you what, his garage is as bespoke as any other car that you're going to see. Okay, before we get into this car, I want you to notice, look at what's on the ceiling here. You could take a body off or an engine out and move it along these beams to the other side of the garage. This is the ultimate garage for restoring a car.
This is a total sheet metal shop.
So you see a lot of things on video or on YouTube or even just in general in the automotive channels, especially with Jay Leno and folks like that, where they are restoring cars and they've got all the things that they need to do it. Well, so does John. This whole garage, he can remanufacture any sheet metal in any fashion, curve or not, in this garage. And he has, and there's some examples to show you. So, what are we looking at here?
That's a 1930 Ford Model A Roadster.
All right.
It's ground up restoration. I have a few months work on it yet and it'll be finished.
So in your restorations, do you typically have a certain period of time you get them done in, or is it just as you get to them it takes that amount of time?
No, I have a large family and I got a lot of grass to cut. Everything takes a lot of time, so when I do, most of my work is in the winter time. In fact, I paint my cars outside. How about that one?
Okay, so let's hear that again. He paints his cars in his yard,
Yep.
and I didn't bring it up yet, but I'm going to let him talk about it. He pinstripes his own cars by hand.
Yeah, but I paint them outside. The weather's got to be above freezing, and I use lacquer paint on them with a right thinner. And my paint jobs, I have some cars here that they're 40 years old and the paint's the way I put it on there. And it's how you put it on and how you mix the paint. But everything that I have here is painted outside.
Incredible. We'll get a shot of the interior and then we'll head on to the other amazing... I mean, there's not enough time in anybody's lifetime to talk to John about his stuff here. Now, for those of us that are just car enthusiasts anyway, I have to let him tell you what this one is all about. So what we're looking at here is a Suburban, right?
Yes.
It is... Let's talk about the condition of this Suburban.
It's never been out in the weather. It's never been wet.
Now, if you know that that's a terrible towel car, we're in the Pittsburgh area, of course, and it's always wet and it's always cold here with snow, and this has never seen it.
No.
Not only that, it is...
It's got 21,000 miles on it.
Can you believe what you're seeing? 21,000 miles.
I bought it new.
Bought it brand new. Keeping the battery...
And I never thought I could get enough money to get her to buy one. But I was at a show down in Tennessee, and I sold all my pedal cars one day. So I went across the street to a Chevy dealer, and this car cost me 4 pedal cars.
More about that. What he means by pedal cars. All right, let's go on. And as we come up, we start to see these pedal cars here. A guillotine. You're not going to understand why that's even here. Vintage photograph. Go ahead.
Well, I don't know whether I'm allowed to say what I think this really is, but I tell everybody right up front, it's not really a guillotine.
What is it?
It's a Polish circumciser.
Now you know, folks. Can't get out of the view first is going to be another 30s Ford. Tell us about this one.
It's all finished, this car. It's 100% restored. And that was my last stripe job, which I'm going to hope I can get it half that good on the next one.
Okay, folks. That's just not like around a piece of molding. That is a stripe that looks like a piece of molding. That's how straight this is. By hand.
I do this at nighttime.
It's all about that.
when nobody's bothering me, when the wife's sound asleep, I'll come out to the garage here and I'll start to stripe the car if it's ready. And I might spend an hour and a half out here. And then if you get tired or you start to goof up too much, you just shut it off and come back the next night and continue. That's all.
That's all.
Nothing to it.
Nothing to it. Okay, so let's start here.
I don't own that car no more. I swapped it for a Model A Roadster.
If anybody's been in the area for vintage racing, you probably have seen this car at some point in your lives.
Yes.
He built this car. So tell us about...
My friend, a friend of mine who owns it now, he's a doctor friend of mine. He races it.
So
And he does fairly good with it.
So next Vintage Grand Prix, it'll probably be there.
Probably.
We're going to look out for this car at the next Vintage Grand Prix. Now, I'm going to pan over... Well, this is very important just to talk about. What is the spec on the motor in there?
That's a flathead 39 Ford motor.
Which, as we know, this is the favorite for hot rodding and racing.
Yeah.
Very stable.
It's fully loaded. It has a 400 cam in it, and it's redone as far as the size of the piston goes, as far as I can go with it. And it's a full race engine.
Amazing. So you bored it out.
A lot of them.
Here's some other pictures of it in Racers Row. Now, there's going to be some glare here, and I apologize, but we're going to talk about... There we go, some more videos. I know we're looking at cars and pictures, but you're not going to believe what you're about to see. Here's his car.
Yeah.
Talk about who else might have a car in here. Some of your
Dick
friends.
Vermeil. Dick Vermeil, he was a coach for Philadelphia Phillies for quite a few years.
Unbelievable.
He was on he had a car there. It was his dad's. I don't think he raced it that day. But he'd made the laps around the racetrack with it before the race. And a very nice car.
Here is another Ford, but this is a 100% original bespoke coach work from Johnny K, and he's going to tell us about it.
This is a boat tail. Some bigger cars were made at the factory by Packard had one, and Auburn, and Model A never had one. This is the first one that I know of. I built the whole body.
Anybody who loves cars is going to want a boat tail.
It's very fast. It's the motor's juiced up a little bit. It's the 32 motor, and it runs very well.
So here's that theme of the flathead V8.
This two-tone, if you noticed, if you feel this, it's just not painted on the car. The body is actually grooved in. Put your finger on there.
Thank you. Yeah, no, this is exactly as he said. Incredible.
Gives it a different look.
It does. So the metalwork he has here is that the design line is not just paint. It's fabricated into the metal. It's unbelievable. And he did it himself. Look, not only that, straight line, right? Starts the curve, and then you come to here, and you just have to ask, how is that even possible?
This is all done on my knee.
Okay.
This has been, I didn't bent this on a roll because you would kink it. I actually bent this over my knee.
All right. Let's look at the interior in this car. I just want to take a point back and really get some credit to this etching here.
Yeah.
Johnny K's Toys etched in. Unbelievable. Here's the interior of the car, as you would expect.
The hinges, I made my own design on them. Model A doors, you usually got to slam them very hard to close them. This one here, click and it's done. Closed.
Unbelievable. So how did you balance that? Was there any trick to balancing?
What
the
part?
hinges?
The hinges?
What did you use as a hinge?
I just bare metal, and the hinge on the other side, nothing but a barn door hinge, altered.
Sorry, I forced him into saying that because he told me that earlier. It's a barn door hinge on the other side. All right, so I'm going to point out some design language here.
It's part of the body.
So this is part of the body from the bow tail down. And then we'll come to this side to where I'm going to show you, believe it or not, barn hinges. And it sounds...
That's right. That's a barn hinge. Sort of.
Unbelievable. Okay, we'll go to the front, and then we're going to get to some other cars here. Is this.
Okay, that car built the whole car too. That's an early race car. That's like 27 style that they had back then. And the engine that's in that was in a race car that run in the Vintage Grand Prix about 17 years. It was in that race. And we took it out, it had a motor, and we put a flathead motor in it, and he ran out until he quit racing. So I went and checked on the engine and find out its history a little bit. And this engine, I still have the race car outside under the bridge, but this car actually had this Model E or Model B engine in it, and I put the flathead.
Okay, so just to point that out again, he built the whole car, and the engine ran a Daytona in the 30s.
Mm-hmm.
Incredible. Now over here to this produce truck, again a Ford truck. This is a
28.
It's a 28. He has it fashioned as a produce car right now, a truck that is. But this is a very special build as well because of...
This car belonged to Whitney Snyder, who was the owner of Shenango Steel. Called me at home one night and says, "John, would you be interested in buying that Model 8 huckster wagon I have?" Which it wasn't a huckster wagon, and it was just a plain pickup. And I said, "Sure." He said, "You have to promise me you're not going to make a hot rod out of it, and I'll sell it to you." And he did. And I've had it now quite a few years, and it's not about to become a hot rod.
So we are now in a whole different place with John, and you look around and you see a man that loves toys, as his branding is, but wait to hear what this actually is. John, please tell us what we're looking at.
They're pedal cars. They're different pedal cars that you could never buy. They have their own look, and I like to build stuff that's different. I don't want to build something like everybody else builds.
He builds them.
I built most of these, yes.
Unbelievable.
And I got one there. I built number 43 is Richard Petty. Number his car. And his grandson was killed in a race car. And that number was 45. And I built it for Richard Petty, and I took it down, met with a man, and he put it in his museum. It's probably still in there. And we became good friends.
That is incredible.
Great family. But pedal cars, you can build what you want. I don't have to follow any rules or regulations. I build what I like, and most people like it anyway, so.
Now, just going to point out a few things on this quick video. That's actually a pedal car fire truck.
Fire truck. It's an extension ladder, which works. It goes up about 7 foot.
You had mentioned something about the cog in that car.
The cog in that car, I needed a gear to turn that. That's a pretty big boom when it's all the way up. And I thought I was going to have to get a cog made for the bottom, and measured what I had and what I was going to get made, and it turned out to be the same size as the Chevy flex plate transmission. So that's what's in there.
Only someone that knows about cars could have had that in his mind to do that when he needed to. And I'm quickly panning, but I just have to tell you, he built everything you see in here. From the machines.
The airplanes, I made them in kit form. I just put them all in the box and put all the directions on how to build it, and figured everybody could paint them themselves. Didn't know whether I'd sell them or not, but I had 11 of them, and I sold them all in Tennessee in an hour.
In 1 hour. So if you have one of these kits, you now see the toy maker at his best. We're not going to point out all the stuff that he has up here is just him being him, like including the first Tonka here. Is that true?
That's a replica of the first Tonka truck that was built.
And then we also have a smaller version, like the Hot Wheels version of a truck over here.
That was the first year too that they were made.
Can you believe it? I mean, any toy collector won't believe what they're seeing unless they've been looking for it. The casework here is incredible. We can't go through all of these cars, but I cannot stop this without showing you. Yes, that is a lamp from the famous movie, and that's the follow-up to it. We're pointing at this is a
Booze bottle.
Booze bottle. There we go. These are our favorite. We happen to find a 1963 booze bottle as well. We'll have to show that at some point. But that's a copper car. Yes, it is. And that's a copper airplane. And he made them. He bent all of this work. These wheels were turned with a piece of oak.
Amherst, New York. Won first place up there. This is the Model A.
Oh, this is for the Model A. That's a trophy for his car that he restored.
Yeah, it's a national trophy. From Amherst, New York.
So, I'm just going to point out, we have a connection here to Jay Leno. Believe it or not, Jay Leno was across the street here at some point looking at motorcycles. And I believe this is something that Jay would want to meet him as well as look at his car. So I'm putting that out there on this video because I believe that this is something that has to be captured on that. You missed this one. Here's a close-up of this copper airplane.
Your pumpkin eater.
Corvette, we're almost done here. Okay, if we didn't know, we just found out. Take us out of this one, Cole.
See you next time.